Dreadnaught Revolt is a post-nuclear war story of America built back in 1995 by a few friends and artists from California with no budget. Friends writing stories together and making hand-drawn art. Artwork built in Photoshop. 5.0 on Windows, 98 HP computers that ran on megabytes, not terabytes. With little to no budget, this project increased over decades, not years. Now, after years of training, AI, the story can finally be shown. The beginning of the end. Time kept counting those who failed to learn from the past were doomed to repeat it. And in the ash-swept skeleton cities of old, nothing proved truer. Ragged bands of plague-ridden vagabonds wandered the great wastes of Utah, crossing sun-scorched farmland now reduced to dust. Their footsteps left only powder as they searched endlessly for survival. It was not always this way. At the turn of the century, humanity celebrated the promise of knowledge and technology. The computer age unleashed global markets, transforming economies into something uncontrollable. Free enterprise surged beyond borders and national debts grew unchecked. Governments lost their grip, turning resources over to corporations, hoping supply and demand would stabilize the chaos. Instead, energy prices soared, fuel became scarce. The lower classes suffered most as riots, looting, and armed escorts for fuel became common, employment vanished. Fear drove populations into migrating bands searching for relief. Meanwhile, the planet itself turned hostile. Climate shifts brought famine and disease. Flesh-eating plagues, immune-destroying viruses, and new strains of ancient illnesses spread unchecked. Science failed. The ozone thinned, the land burned or flooded, and governments teetered on collapse. A new promise. With the United States in anarchy, President Allen R. March offered hope. He introduced the gold note currency to combat inflation and attempted nationwide aid. But drastic action followed. NAFTA was abolished. U.S. forces invaded oil-rich nations under the guise of security. NATO fractured as allies refused to support these actions. Congress backed further expansion, targeting South America for resource recovery. Nations already weakened by disaster resisted. Igniting revolutions, Russia and China mobilized across Asia. Europe prepared for war. In South America, General Manuel Felipe Silviano rallied forces under the United Hispanic Nations, marching through multiple countries. His army neared victory until U.S. forces intervened. The world descended into global war. World War III. Conflict erupted worldwide. Middle Eastern alliances attacked. U.S. and British forces, chemical and biological weapons devastated populations. Russia clashed with European forces. The Pacific became a battleground as U.S. forces fought advancing Hispanic armies. President March declared the defense of U.S. soil as war reached American borders. His final words echoed. Never has one country under God ever needed him so much as we pray now. Let freedom scream. Set the world afire. Russia and China initiated nuclear exchange. The first flashes of destruction consumed cities. Hong Kong fell. The nuclear age had begun in full. The under mushroom clouds. Bodies filled the streets, survivors wandered ruined lands, while disease and madness spread. Near El Centro, California, an old man tuned a dying radio. A final broadcast crackled through. This is President Alan March. Keep hope. The worst is over. We will rebuild. Freedom will pre. Static consume the signal. Welcome to the end.
Decades after the wasteland years, America was still broken. The old United States was gone. Only a few dozen cities remained under the control of the U.N.S.A. The rest fractured into scavenger kingdoms, mercenary territories, and feudal warlords hiding inside the ruins of old America. The population collapsed, trade routes vanished. Entire generations grew up in dead cities lit by barrel fires and old radiation storms. Then came the Reclamation Age. The corporations backing the U.N.S.A. launched what they called the Third Industrial Revolution giant. Automated construction platforms were sent across Neo-America to tear down poisoned cities and rebuild them faster than human hands ever could. Entire sections of ruined cities could vanish in days and rise again in years. The U.N.S.A. also deployed mobile justice teams across abandoned cities to reclaim territory and restore law back to Neo-America. At first, people welcomed them. The lights came back on. Factories returned. Food shipments moved again. For the first time in decades, parts of America felt alive. But the rebuilding came with conditions. The U.N.S.A. demanded every territory formally join the New World Authority under the World Nations and permanently abolish the former United States Constitution. Most refused. New Mexico was the first major territory targeted for reclamation by force. The oil fields and natural gas pipelines under their control were too valuable to ignore. The U.N.S.A. issued lawful demands to reopen the old government fuel systems and surrender pipeline authority back to orbital command. New Mexico refused. Years earlier, the U.N.S.A. had already loaned them a massive construction platform to help rebuild Albuquerque into Neo-Albuquerque. While negotiations continued, the people believed it was there to rebuild the city. They were wrong. When New Mexico refused to formally join the U.N.S.A. and abolish the old Constitution, Orbital Command authorized direct assault. The great construction platform was converted into the first militarized I-beams. The old construction robots were melted down and recast into Dreadnaughts and Medi-Kai war units to assist the mobile justice teams during the assault. And somewhere inside the burning deserts of New Mexico, men like Lobo Guerrero and MX Caups would witness the beginning of another American Civil War.
Vertigo, Lobo sat still, high on the clay peaks above the red hill. Beside him his father, MX the strong, where shadows stretched out wide and long. The sun burned low in a blood-red blaze, casting their forms in ancient haze on towers was once proud, now buried in dust, where cities had fallen and steel turned to rust. Who knew how glory could fade so fast? How kingdoms of stone became ghosts of the past? MX and his people made shelter and fire from ruins of worlds consumed by desire. A war had raged here, fury untamed. The devil's son was what they named the force that shattered road and sky, turned earth to ash and rivers dry. It rose so high in flame and sand, it buried towers across the land. MX was young when the world split wide, when the earth drank oceans and swallowed the tide. Now vines choke bridges where armies once stood, and silence has taken what once was good. Below them, Lobo watched his kin climb broken steel with hardened skin, dragging deer and hauling beasts, preparing fires for endless feasts. His father worked with hammer and flame, forging steel with relentless aim. A glowing rod beneath his hand, shaped by force, not by command. Machines of the Dune-born powered the heat, strange humming engines beneath their feet. Tanks and gauges Lobo couldn't name, but all fed the furnace that roared like a flame. Sparks leapt wild in defiant arcs, reflected bright in his father's marks. You cannot trust those below, he said. They follow fear, not what is right or red. They will not stand when the danger grows, unless they fear you more than their foes. Grasp too wide for sword, built to cleave and clasp. Its glow burned hot on Lobo's skin as MX walked where the water spin. He pulled the chains, the flood came fast. Steam and fury from the past. The blade plunged in with a violent hiss. Water screamed in boiling abyss. Trust not the domes, his father warned. They kill on sight, cold and scorned. Trust not the women beyond our flame. They smile with lies, but mean you pain. He drew the blade, now black as night, wrapped its grip in leather tight, placed it in Lobo's trembling hands, heavy as law across the lands. Look below, his father spoke. Fires that burned and iron that broke. Engines slowed and voices grew. A people bound by what they knew. They do not harm you, understand, because they fear my iron hand. This is the law that keeps them still. Not love, not honor, only will. Leather tightened along the steel, a weapon forged for blood and will. Never kill your own, he said. Never eat your kin once dead. This is the law that lets us live, the only mercy this world can give. Then pointed beyond their land, to stars that burned where shadows stand. Like thunder fell. He pressed the blade in Lobo's hold. Kill or be killed. Grew cold, and the night grew cold.
Most people think Dreadnaught means a giant war machine. They're wrong. The name comes from two simple words. Dreadnaught. Fear nothing. A Dreadnaught pilot doesn't sit inside the machine. They're safe, miles away, guiding it through a telepresence link. The machine can be destroyed. The pilot lives on. No fear of bullets. No fear of radiation. No fear of death. Just a human mind reaching out through steel and circuitry. That's why they called them Dreadnaughts. Because a man who has nothing left to fear is a dangerous thing. The orbital command station drifted above Earth like a dead cathedral. Alhenna Elvice worked there for the U.N.S.A, under authority of the March cabinets. Then she found the emails. Two ancient senators discussing ghost authority. Buried beneath military encryption, she found another phrase. Nuclear football uplink authorization. Alhenna followed dead flight logs until everything stopped at one place. An abandoned New Mexico airbase buried inside a radiation zone. The final transport carrying Presidential Launch Authority had never completed its route. No recovery teams, no outgoing logs, only silence. Howler packs hunted there now. Radiation mutants nested in the tunnel's ancient defense system still had power. People who entered the base never returned. Alhenna smiled. This was her way out. Within hours, she began making contacts through the underground data markets of New Singapore. That was where she found him. Nobody knew the ninja's real name. An escaped experiment, a machine failure, a ghost. The underground called him an outrunner. She found him in a T-bar beneath Sector 9.
I need someone who can enter a dead military zone.
The football? He asked.
You know about it?
I know enough. 3 nights later, they prepared beneath the city inside an abandoned weapons vault. Prototype stealth fabrics, illegal neural scramblers, radiation filters. Alhenna checked her service pistol while the ninja prepared his weapons. 2 coiled microfiber whips rested on the steel table, each thinner than wire, each capable of heating instantly upon acceleration. When activated, the fibers ignited with magnesium flashes hot enough to slice through steel like paper. By dawn, they crossed into the wasteland. The radiation zone stretched beneath a blood-colored sky while distant howlers screamed across the desert. The old airbase appeared near sunset.
Concrete bunkers half buried beneath ash.
Radar towers twisted by heat.
The tunnels became a nightmare.
Counters crackled. Emergency lights pulsed weakly. Automated turrets came alive after decades of silence. Then the creatures came, prowlers first, hairless things with blistered flesh and glowing eyes. Then worse, mutants twisted by generations of radiation flooded from collapsed maintenance tunnels, screaming like animals. The ninja moved through the darkness like something barely human. His magnesium whips cracked through the corridor, spraying molten light as creatures and automated weapons fell apart in burning pieces. Finally, they reached the lower service ramps, and there they found him. The Secret Service agent still sat slumped against the tunnel wall, exactly where he had died decades earlier. Still handcuffed to the football, fragments of blackened uniform clung to the skeleton beneath red emergency lights. The world had ended there for him. Alhenna forced the restraint loose from the skeleton's wrist and secured the football against her side. Then the emergency lights dimmed, somewhere below. Damaged blast doors began grinding open. The mutants had found it again. The tunnel exploded with movement.
Howlers rushed from the darkness while radiation creatures poured from maintenance shafts overhead. Automated turrets unfolded from the walls as red targeting lasers flooded the corridor. The ninja moved first. The magnesium whips ignited with a crack like thunder. White molten arcs ripped through the darkness as creatures in steel exploded apart together. Alhenna opened fire beside him while warning sirens screamed through the bunker. Then the facility began collapsing. They sprinted through collapsing tunnels while ancient security guns blindly fired in every direction. Behind them, a massive blast door began closing. Too far. The ninja hurled both whips forward. Molten sparks exploded across the corridor as the hydraulic systems were sliced apart. The blast door blew sideways and the shockwave drew them through the opening, just as the tunnel behind them collapsed. Hours later, they emerged into the cold wasteland night beneath glowing ash and red moonlight. But during the escape, one infected creature had bitten Alhenna in her side. Dark veins already spread beneath her skin. Back in New Singapore, she refused major hospitals. Too many scanners, too much surveillance. Instead, she vanished into the lower districts, searching for a chop doctor willing to treat her quietly. Before separating, she looked toward the ninja. "You'll get your payment." The ninja stared at the football case, then at the infection beneath her skin. "You may not live long enough to spend it." Then he disappeared into the rain. High above the city, encrypted Scalp Hunt notices spread through hitting U.N.S.A channels. Priority red. Ghost authority breach confirmed. Target, Alhenna Elvice. Recovery authorized. Dead or alive. Elsewhere inside the city, a call finally reached Cyrus Recourt.
New Singapore glowed like a fever dream beneath poison clouds and neon rain. Cyrus Recourt hated every inch of it. 3 days earlier, he'd left Sacramento half sick, head pounding like war drums in a steel barrel. Now he stood beneath the endless towers of the Neplex, staring up at stacked Cuban cubes vanishing into haze. Dirty deals, corrupt officials, mutant gangs, and cold chrome smiles filled the streets below. Even the beggars looked factory-made. The city had been built over the old nuclear graves of Nevada, and somehow the ghosts still lingered in the steam rising from the pavement. Back in a smoke-stained apartment overlooking the Pacific Rift, the sat phone rang beside his hide-a-bed. "Cyrus here. Captain," the voice crackled. "Don't hang up. This one's big." It was Rob Knowles, an old unswore contact Cyrus already wanted the call over. Scalp Hunt, Knowles muttered. VD target, former U.N.S.A outrunner. So, there was a pause. Alhenna Elvice. Silence swallowed the room. Cyrus leaned back slowly. Cigarette frozen between his fingers. He remembered her sharp eyes, sharper fists, and the purple contrails they carved across the upper and flying more phoenix craft together, fast enough to leave the world behind. "Send the file," he said quietly. Now here he was in New Singapore, shoved sideways by crowds and magnia rails while rain hissed against glowing signs overhead. A mutant laborer hauled him upright after he nearly wandered into traffic. "Watch it, breathe." Cyrus muttered an apology and kept moving. The skull throbbed harder with every step. Somewhere in this endless maze of fog, lights, and lies, Alhenna was hiding. And if she was running, then something worse was hunting her too. Across the city,
why. She carried herself like a soldier still marching through a war no one else could see. New Singapore disgusted her nearly as much as it did Cyrus, but she hadn't come here to survive the city. She'd come for answers. Storm clouds rolled above the towers, while fog swallowed the lower streets whole. Sirens echoed somewhere far below as transit rails screamed through the night. Cyrus stepped from the elevator into the steaming alleyway outside his basement room set and pulled his trench coat tighter. Time to shake some trees, he muttered. Then he disappeared into the rain.
Rain hammered the upper towers of New York City, like the world was still trying to wash nuclear ash from its skin. Far below the skyline, thousands of feet beneath the glowing corporate spires and air traffic lanes, the old streets drowned in steam, flood water, and neon reflections. The Hall of Justice stood at the center of the city like a black iron cathedral, massive stone walls reinforced with modern armor plating. The searchlights swept across the square while armored judge bikes sat in perfect rows outside beneath pouring rain. Their engines ticked softly in the cold waiting. Inside the oath chamber, nobody spoke. 30 candidates stood shoulder to shoulder in black formal uniforms, combat veterans, former soldiers, survivors of border wars and wasteland campaigns, men and women that had seen the outside sectors with their own eyes. Slavers, cannibal gangs, raider kings, entire towns chained beneath warlords, while the safe cities pretended not to hear the screams beyond the walls. At the far end of the chamber stood the High Marshal beneath the great iron seal of the U.N.S.A. No music. No ceremony, no applause, only rain against the tower windows. The Marshal looked over the recruits with tired eyes, the kind of eyes that had watched civilization die once already. You understand what this oath means? Nobody answered, because they did. A mobile judge did not retire, did not quit, did not abandon the road. The law became their life until death. The Marshal stepped forward slowly. You will leave the safety of these cities willingly. You will ride into places where governments no longer exist. You will see what mankind becomes without law. Lightning flashed through the tower windows behind him. You will be hated by tyrants, hunted by gangs, feared by warlords. He paused and prayed for by the weak. That line hit harder than any speech. One of the recruits swallowed hard. Another stared straight ahead, trying not to think about the stories from the wasteland sectors. Entire convoys gone missing. Judges crucified on freeway signs by raider armies. Satellite courts destroyed in ambushes. The Marshal continued. The law means nothing inside these walls. His voice echoed through the chamber. Out there is where it matters. An armored attendant entered carrying a polished steel case. Inside rested the judge badges, heavy black steel trimmed in silver, each one engraved with sector authority codes and oath markings, not decorations, burdens. The recruits raised their right hands. Rain thundered outside New York City. I swear, the chamber answered in unison to carry the law beyond the walls. The words rolled like distant artillery to defend the helpless. Outside, one of the judge motorcycles rumbled to life in the storm, to stand where others will not. The Marshal's expression never changed, to hold the line, though the world itself falls into darkness. Silence returned! One by one, the badges were placed into their hands. Cold steel! Heavy steel! Real! The Marshal looked toward the storm outside the tower windows. Your convoy leaves at dawn. The settlement fell silent as the convoy arrived. Armored vehicles rolled through the desert sand while villagers gathered to watch from a distance. Above them, Beam 2388 loomed on the horizon like a mountain of steel. Roy Laughlin paid it little attention. Bent over in the sandy soil, he carefully gathered mullein leaves into a canvas sack. A young boy nearby coughed into his sleeve. The child needed the plant more than Roy did. Heavy boots stopped beside him. Foraging is a federal offense, trash farmer. Roy glanced up. Fleet General Durain stood over him, surrounded by armed escorts. Roy returned to gathering herbs. These ain't for me. Two officers grabbed him by the arms and pulled him upright. Roy sighed. Dang it. He nodded toward the coughing child. Kid needs it. Durains wasn't interested. His eyes moved across the settlement with visible disgust. Another unregistered homestead. Another future rebellion. Kill him. The officers froze. One quickly checked a tablet. After several seconds, he swallowed nervously. Sir, we can't. Durain slowly turned. Explain. Registered citizen Neo-Yuma Correctional Psychiatric Facility. The officer looked down again. Protected class status. The general's displeasure was immediate. Everyone present could see it. He stepped forward, grabbed Roy's lab coat and pulled him close. These invalids are the reason society is weak as it is today. Roy stared back, calm, unimpressed. Finally, Durains released him. But high command cannot be disobeyed. He turned toward his escort. Call 3 mobile justice carriers. Nearest available units. Pick him up. Yes, sir! General, sir! As the officers moved to obey, Durains walked several yards away and began speaking with one of his aides. Roy tried not to listen. Then he heard a name. The nuclear football's location is tied to that woman. Alhenna Elvice, sir. Yes, Durains pointed south. I want her found before the industrial scalp hunters get there first. Roy watched the general walk away. Something about the name stuck with him. Alhenna Elvice. Hours later, Roy sat restrained aboard a mobile justice carrier. Outside the armored windows, villagers were being rounded up for rehabilitation back into society. Families cried. Children screamed. Everything they had built together was being torn apart. Roy rose from the restraint chair in anger. A mobile justice marshal struck him hard across the mouth. The old man crashed to the deck. Blood ran from his lip. The restraints locked tighter. Outside, Beam 2388 rumbled south into the fading desert sunset. Roy watched it disappear toward Neo Singapore, toward Alhenna Elvice, and toward a future neither man yet understood. The prison convoy rolled west through New Mexico just after sunrise. 3 black mobile judge carriers grinding across the cracked interstate toward Arizona with dust clouds boiling behind them like desert smoke. Escort drones buzzed overhead, and every marshal inside looked nervous. Transfers through the radiation corridor always put a bad taste in a man's mouth. Too much empty land, too many places to disappear. Inside the center carrier, Roy Laughlin sat shackled to a steel restraint chair welded straight into the floor. His face looked like somebody worked it over with a pipe wrench. One eye barely opened anymore. Across from him sat 2 tribunal marshals, pretending not to stare at him. Roy grinned through bloody teeth anyway. About 50 miles
Durango crouched beneath the collapsed roof of an old fuel station, studying the convoy route projected across a battered hollow screen. Cigarette smoke drifted through the room, mixing with generator fumes and desert heat. Around him sat 6 R.D.A. mercenaries checking weapons in silence, while the ninja leaned against a concrete pillar, sharpening a black combat blade, slow and steady, like he had all the time in the world. Nobody talked much around him. Durango pointed at the canyon pass cutting through the Arizona borderlands. We hit them here. One mercenary frowned. What about air support? Durango exhaled smoke. If they get air support, we're already dead. Nobody argued with that. The convoy entered the canyon near noon. Huge walls of blackened rock rose around the carriers, while winds screamed through the pass, carrying sand like razor blades. Then the hell opened up. Explosives buried beneath the highway erupted under the lead carrier, blowing it sideways into the canyon wall. Gunfire exploded from both ridges as R.D.A. mercs hammered the convoy with armor-piercing rounds. Drones spiraled out of the sky, trailing smoke while marshals stumbled in the crossfire before they even understood what was happening. The ninja moved through the chaos like a ghost. One marshal turned toward him and suddenly dropped, clutching his throat before anybody even saw the blade. Durango reached Roy's carrier and ripped the side door open with mechanical arms winding beneath his sleeves. Roy looked up slowly, about damn time. Then the gunfire started dying off. One mercenary stood frozen, staring east across the desert horizon. Far out beyond the dust storm, something massive floated above the wastelands. Black, silent, an eye beam. Nobody said a word. The ninja finally broke the silence. Run.